good afternoon, and good night. This has become the podcast. How do you become anything you dream, you declare, you commit, and success is your next breath? We listen to the sounds of earth, wind, and fire. Can't hide love. This is one of my favorite songs. D'Angelo did a cover, and the lyrics, the tempo, the elements of the song. I just think it's a bad boy, man. It's a bad boy. So let's jump right into it. The name of this, the theme of this podcast is mentors aren't enough. Mentors aren't enough. And so yesterday I was telling you a story, basically my story, how I went from graduation to training basketball players for a living. And I hadn't really gotten into how I started speaking for a living. But I wanted to talk about how I started training for a living, some of the wonderful life lessons that came about because of me fulfilling my purpose of training, and also this very interesting and very influential person that I met in the process. So I'll kind of start where I left off yesterday. So I invested a lot of money into this basketball camp. I buy basketballs, I buy shirts, I buy Gatorades and things of the nature. I rent out a gym for several hours per day for 4 days, and I only have 5 people in my camp. 2 people leave during the camp, and I'm left with 3 people. And I obviously didn't make back any of my money, and I had to just eat it. You know, I had to go home knowing that I stretched this financially. I took a lot of money that wasn't replenished, and I had to go back home to my wife and son and deal with the fact that I failed. I didn't quit, but I failed. And so I'm at home, I feel dejected, I feel just like somebody just beat me down. And my wife hits me with this line that kind of, she said one thing. She said this one line, and it slowly but surely, it gave me my mojo back. And she says, "What about Nate?" So as I'm thinking about quitting, she says, "What about Nate?" And so Nate was this young man that I met. I met him when he was in, I think, the 6th or 7th grade. And his team was practicing at Concordia. He was on a basketball team, and they were practicing at Concordia. And I just so happened to be walking through the gym. I was in the weight room, and I went to go get some water, and I was walking through, and I was kind of taking my time as I was walking through. And I saw his team, they were running some sort of zone, basically 2-3 zone, but the kids on offense kept making the same wrong read. And so, what's crazy is that I would never do this now, unless the opportunity presented itself. But I asked the coach if I could interject and show the kids something. And so I walk over to the team, and I was like, well, you know, you guys are making a wrong read. If you pass the ball here, then here, this guy becomes open, and then you have these options to either make a layup, make a jump shot, or something like that. So the coach, I must have looked official that day, and the coach was humble enough to let me say whatever I had to say. So I watched the team take my advice, and they still didn't make the right read, but Nate's father was there, which I didn't know, and he was impressed by my coaching ability and my presence and everything else that I kind of brought to the table in that small moment. So the next day, while I'm at, I get a call, and it's Mr. Schmidt saying, "I saw you coaching. I wonder if you do private lessons or whatnot." And so I told him, yeah. And the reality is, so I had started doing training, but I was really, really terrible at basketball training at this point. I loved it. I loved it, but I was still pretty pretty bad at it. But I decided that, hey, it's a client and let's rock and roll. So Nate was highly influential in my career because he was hungry. He loved the game. He was super smart. He and his father were super dedicated to coming to the gym consistently, making sure that he was there on time. They lived right around the corner. I mean, they lived in Ipsy, but I mean, they lived in close proximity to the gym. So it was nothing for them to be there lickety split. And Nate and I just clicked. I loved his mind. I loved the way he thought about the game. And I loved his enthusiasm for the game. I loved his work ethic for the game. And he and I became such good friends that I remember at some point I stopped training him. I started charging him for the training. We would meet up and I would train him as though he was paying me. And he started working for me, doing some of my own camps. That's just how much I trusted him, and that's how much I thought about him. And he became really, really successful in basketball, is successful in basketball. But the point I want to make, the first point of contact that I want to make is, once again, mentors aren't enough. You need mentees, right? So mentees you need somebody to mentor and you need someone to mentor you. So it's like this 3-part puzzle. You got to have there's somebody who's mentoring you, and then there's somebody you're mentoring. And so the mentee, some of the same rules apply for the mentor. If you have a mentor, they need to hold you accountable, they need to challenge you, they need to encourage you, and they need to be honest with you, right? And the mentee does the same thing, but they do it differently. See, a mentor, so the information that comes from above, from the older, wiser, more experienced person, they're going to hold you accountable. They're going to challenge you, encourage you, and keep you honest, right? Or be honest with you. The mentee does the same thing, but they do it in a different way. See, they do all those things, but with their presence alone. And so stick with me while I try to explain this, because it's not the easiest for me to explain. The mentee isn't necessarily going to hold you accountable, challenge you, encourage you, and be honest with you like the mentor. They're not going to be telling you, hey, listen, you didn't do X, Y, and Z yesterday. Fulfill your job. They're not going to challenge you and say, hey, older person has more experience than me. I need you to go harder. They're going to do that. But with their presence, they do those things. So it's like, because of Nate's constant presence, because he wanted to be in my space, he wanted to be in the gym with me, because of that, I decided I need to hold myself accountable, right? So if it's a Saturday night and I know I got to see Nate on Sunday morning, I know I can't do something. I got to chill. I got to kind of cool it out on Saturday night to make sure that I'm ready for him on Sunday morning, right? If I want to make him better, then I need to challenge myself. I need to watch game film. I need to watch games. I need to watch drills. I need to watch DVDs. I need to be in the gym myself and keep challenging myself so I can challenge him, right? I have to be encouraged. I have to encourage myself. I have to show resolve. I have to be resilient so that when he falls on tough times, when he stumbles, I can be there for him. And he'll never look at me and say, well, you never do any of the stuff that you're telling me to do, right? You encouraging me to giddy up and get after it, but I don't get that same sense that you're doing the same thing in your life, right? So I always have to stay positive, stay resilient, stay persistent, stay consistent, all those things, so that when I give him a little bit of advice, he knows, I know this is real, I know this is sincere, and I know that you're doing everything that you're telling me to do. So therefore, I'll listen to it. I'll rock with it. And I have to. And the same thing with honesty. We developed a relationship of honesty. And the same thing. He was honest with me, and with his presence alone. Meaning, because he consistently came to the gym, it was almost like his constant presence and coming to the gym was the result of me being honest with him. because I was honest with him, because I was honest with myself, because I was honest in telling him what he was doing, what he wasn't doing. I was honest in myself and making sure that I was, being loyal, being everything that I needed to be to myself as well as him. His presence was the result of that. See, if I was a dishonest dude, if I was dishonest with him, if I was dishonest with myself, he might have felt that and been like, you know what? I don't know if I want to be around that type of energy. I don't know if I want to be around a dude who kind of conducts himself like that. So it lets us know that, man, sometimes the mentor is not enough. We need mentees to force us to hold us accountable, challenge us, encourage us, and be honest. The mentor isn't enough. And sorry, I'm looking through my notes. And so the second point of contact. The second point of contact is this notion that one person can save one person's career. Like one person is enough. You always hear people say, like, if I could just touch one person, if I could just help out one person, then I've done my job. But when you're in the thick of things, you think you need to impact millions. You need to impact the masses. But the reality of it is, because of one person who was Nate, I stayed the course and I kept grinding. And there would probably be times when he was going through it and I might have been saving him. I might have been helping him out. And so here are just two people doing what they're supposed to do. And because of that, people were helped out, people were supported, people were encouraged, people were held accountable, people were challenged. And because of that, we have now, because of how long we've been doing what we've been doing, because of our sustainability and our long-term success, we've been able to help other people. So because he saved me, and I'm not saying I saved him, but I definitely helped him. But because of what we did for each other, now he's doing incredible things in the game of basketball, and I'm still at it over here, helping kids in the game of basketball, and now doing inspirational speaking. So my second point of contact is, one person may save your career. Only takes one person to save your career. My last point of contact is this, and this is the second point of contact is this: you have to fulfill your purpose. See, if I didn't fulfill my purpose, if I didn't enhance the faith of others through basketball, and if I quit, then what happens to Nate? And if I quit on Nate, what happens to all of the people that Nate has touched? Or if Nate quits because he sees me quit, how does that impact his life, and how does that impact everybody else? How does that impact the collective? So it's a valuable lesson, man, that is something bigger than you has to be a part of the recipe, so that when times get tough, when you go through the storm, you have something else pulling you through the storm. And yoga to say the only way out is through. And so you have to figure out what's bigger than me, what's worth the pain, the suffering, the agony, the fear, the insecurities, the doubt. What's the pain? What's worth it? And for me, it was Nate. Nate's not my first client, but he's my most influential client. My first client was Jordan Rodriguez. He's an important client because he was the first one. But Nate was the most important because he was the person that pulled me through without him even knowing. A little 12-year-old who became my main man. By the time he was in high school, he became my partner. He became my friend. He became my little brother. He pulled me through. And Nate is not a little black kid. Nate is a white kid. Last name is Schmidt. He's probably laughing as I'm saying it when he hears it. This dude pulled me through, man. And today he calls me and we talk basketball. And so let me give you the 3 points of contact before I jet. Point of contact number 1, mentors aren't enough. Mentors aren't enough. You need somebody you need You need the pressure from the top, and you need the pressure from the bottom to make sure that you stay on point. Point of contact number 2 is one person can save your life, or all it takes is one person to save your life. So if you go into your purpose thinking, if I can just touch one person, I've done my job, man, it's real. Because by you saving that person's life, that person may save many people's lives, and you are connected to that. Just like if you quit on that person quits on millions, you're connected to that. And the last thing is this: fulfill your purpose. Because by you fulfilling your purpose and helping one person, man, you're going to be an inspiration. You're going to be a symbol of possibility. Somebody going to see what you was doing, and they're going to help out other people because of what you was doing. Because of you fulfilling your purpose, you're going to enhance somebody else's life in some shape, form, or fashion that will now position that person to now do the same for millions. I was supposed to get Nate on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and things got away from me. But I think this is the perfect kind of segue to getting him on the podcast, and I'm gonna call him up, and I want you to hear his story, because his story is so dope. How he got from point A to point B to on TV to the dude's story is incredible, and it may take us more than 15 minutes to get that one in. But thank you for listening as always. I had a text come in from my main man Shayla Barnes, and Shayla Barnes was one of my first clients too, and he says, you leaving us with cliffhangers, because the last one I told you about this one line that Sarah gave me, and then I'm kind of fulfilling the story now with the line that she gave me, which was, what about Nate? And so I just appreciate anybody who's listening. I appreciate anybody who's listening, whether I know you or I don't know you. I appreciate you, man, and I hope that I'm helping you out. I'm hoping that I'm making the commute a little bit better. I'm hoping that I'm making the workout a little bit better, or however, in whatever capacity you listen to me, man. I hope that I'm making it better, and I hope that the content, the music, I hope that my stumbling, mumbling, and fumbling over my words is a side item to the content itself and the intention in which I do these podcasts. And I hope that you focus on my intention, my content, more so than you focus on my flaws. But soon I'm going to get Nate on this podcast, have him tell your story, so you can see why I fell in love with this brother, man, and why we're still friends to this day, and good friends to this day. And so with that being said, I'm signing off. Greatness lives on the edge of death. I am not afraid to die. I will fight for my dreams. I will celebrate my dreams, and I will die for my dreams. Thoughts are things, and everything starts off as a thought first and springs from a place of mindfulness and clarity. My name is Mar Fox Jr. Done. Earth, Wind, and Fire ain't nothing but a party, baby.